Peace, guys. Patrick, Conservative Rap, and in this video, we're going to get into some more America First based financial news. Remember, just like there's fake news on TV, CNN, etc., and the major newspapers, the major news outlets, when it comes to venues like the World Economic Forum, the Federal Reserve, the Economists, all of them are fake too. Disguised behind their pseudo-financial vocabulary is not only simply a hatred for Trump, but a hypnotic, illusionary verbiage based on keeping us within their inflationary system, which is what the Make America Great Again economy is hoping to free us from. As I go further into my conservative thinking, the reality is it begins to encompass more of my financial outlook and my spiritual outlook, not just my politics. And I think probably the same goes for you. As I start to cover these things, I hope you see how it all comes together, that we're really trapped in a system that's meant to tax us and keep us as tax slaves, while the value of the dollar decreases over multiple generations and we have no way out. Not only have jobs been shipped offshore, but the power and the wealth that we have as a population, unfortunately, we've just been robbed of it. And people are slowly becoming more awake to this fact. The narrative currently is that Trump is going to cause inflation with tariffs, but a lot of retailers may try to fake us out with their fictional price raises, like as an example. It's like almost like COVID, right? They had people using fake tests to create the narrative, and the media had a counter to keep people under the fear of a pandemic, when the reality is a lot of the tests were fake. Now with the products, you're going to see companies that rely on cheap products from China will try to manufacture fake news to keep people away from the Trump and the patriotic reclamation of our economic future. So let's get into some examples of this. I'm going to share my screen, and you'll see as we go into some examples exactly what I'm talking about. First, let's go to Truth Social. This is going to be Trump, I believe. The consensus of almost everybody is that the Fed should cut rates sooner rather than later. Too Late Powell, I love Trump with his nicknames for people. Too Late Powell, a man legendary for being too late, will probably blow it up again, but who knows? Again, calling the Fed out on why they're not cutting rates when the reality is the situation is perfect for them to do so. All right, we're going to go over to Moody's now. Check this out. This is from the Business Standard. I'm going to share this tab. Moody's downgrade of U.S. rating may not dent stock markets much, analysts. Global financial markets may not reach much to Moody's ratings downgrade, may not react much rather to Moody's ratings downgrade of the United States from AAA to AA1, believe analysts, except for a knee-jerk reaction, if any. At the domestic level, Indian stock markets would be focused for more developments such as progress of monsoon, corporate results, and economic data. Talks on tariff-related issues with the U.S. will also impact sentiment. Moody's downgrade, they said, was more to get the rating in sync with Fitch and S&P, who have already downgraded U.S. ratings, while Fitch has downgraded the rating from AA plus from AAA in August 2023. S&P has lowered U.S. ratings back in 2011. I don't think there'll be much reaction. U.S. Treasury yields are likely to climb, but they already did so to some extent on Friday. Moody's ratings development is more to get the agency in line with what other rating agencies, Fitch and the S&P, already did long ago. Barring a knee-jerk reaction in the global financial markets, including India, I don't see this having much impact, said UR Bhatt, co-founder and director, Alphaniti FinTech. Meanwhile, the stable outlook, Moody said, reflects balanced risk at AA1. The U.S., it believes, will still retain exceptional credit strength, such as the size, resilience, and dynamism of its economy and the role of the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency. While recent months have been characterized by a degree of policy uncertainty, we expect that the U.S. will continue its long history of very effective monetary policy led by an independent Federal Reserve. Hint, hint. All right. The stable outlook also takes into account institutional features, including the constitutional separation of powers among the three branches of government that contributes to policy effectiveness over time, and it's relatively insensitive to events over a short period. Now, translation, and check this out. This is the Kobisi letter on X. All right, and I really like the Kobisi letter for analysis. I would check them out for more of this, translation of economic news. If this is not a wake-up call, then what is? Moody just downgraded the United States credit rating for the first time in history. The reason, an unsustainable path for the U.S. federal debt and its resulting interest burden. Moody's notes that the U.S. debt to GDP ratio is on track hit 134% by 2035. Federal interest payments are set to equal 30% of revenue by 2035, up from 18% in 24 and 9% in 21. Furthermore, deficit spending is now at World War II levels as percentage of GDP. The U.S. debt crisis is our biggest issue with the least attention. All right, and just going back, all right. This is set to increase interest rates even further. We maintain our view that solving deficit spending would end most of our economic issues. Let us know if you'd like a thread explaining the downgrade. And I I commented on this saying, yeah, we definitely should go further in depth. Remember, guys, it's all about keeping people under this economic philosophical lock and keeping us under their control. Why would Moody's wait until now? Like, the timing is interesting, right? Let's move on. I'm going to share with you now what's known as the Big Beautiful Bill, and this will give you a sample of where we're talking about. This is from the American Thinker. Share this tab instead. The Big Beautiful Bill, the Reconciliation Bill is what they're referencing, will bring big benefits for blue-collar workers. So as you guys know, the shift began when Donald Trump came down the golden escalator at Trump Tower, summer 2015, and outlined his agenda to make America great again. Unlike his rivals within and outside the GOP, Trump criticized globalism, insisted that the United States rebuild its manufacturing base, opposed open borders, and rejected climate alarmism. He sought to eliminate onerous regulations and proposed a massive tax cut that would slash tax rates for the middle and working class. At its core, MAGA agenda is all about reviving the American dream, which has nearly become unattainable for a large portion of hardworking Americans in the 21st century. Check this out now. The reconciliation bill that's currently being debated in the House of Representatives is a prime example of the Republican Party's shift in priorities from white-collar interests to blue-collar interest. As it's currently structured, the bill would eliminate federal income taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. It would also make the 2017 tax cuts permanent, increase the standard deduction and child tax credit, expand health savings accounts and 529 education savings accounts, enlarge small business tax credits, increase opportunity zones, and allow 100% expensing for new factories, improvements to existing factories and other production facilities. Despite all these provisions that will particularly boost workers' take-home pay and create new good-paying manufacturing jobs, almost every Democrat on Capitol Hill continues to portray the bill as nothing more than a tax cut for the rich. The overwhelming majority of benefits will go to the wealthiest 1%, claims House Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Chuck Schumer said the bill includes more tax cut for billionaires paid on the backs of working and middle-class Americans. This is what they do. They perpetuate, it's almost like the same thing with like Black Lives Matter or some DEI narrative. They perpetuate these falsehoods when, again, this is false. As the Heartland Institute noted in 2 policy studies, IRS data shows that the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act disproportionately benefited working and middle-class Americans, not the ultra-wealthy. In terms of a percentage saved per filer, the IRS data shows that filers on the lower end of the income spectrum received far larger reductions compared to those in the higher end. For example, if you earned $45K in 22, under the TCJA, you received a 19% reduction in taxes compared to 2017. If you earned $5 million, you only saved 2.3%. In other words, the TCJA gave all Americans a tax rate cut. However, the rate cuts were substantially larger for the lower income brackets. By designing the law to benefit mostly middle and lower income earners, TCJA resulted in the rich paying a larger share of the overall tax burden. So remember, threats of a recession, unemployment, energy costs, inflation, all of this is going to be addressed by this stuff. The Fed doesn't want to lower the rates because if you could buy homes and cars and businesses could loan at a much more lower rate, think about how the economy would take off, like relative to all of the stuff that Trump is already doing. I think this is, fantastic. As he brings in currency from other nations, right? Think about India and all the other investments coming in, Taiwan, etc., then shrinks the government and then eliminates taxes. It's going to be an entirely different reality. There's a very small window the radical left and many of the rhinos, as you see, that are having their pockets lined by big pharma. There's a very small window where they can continue to perpetuate this falsehoods and these narratives. Don't fall for it. All right. We're here to make America great. We are living in a tremendous and I think very opportune time as we enter the new golden age. And I'm glad that it's taken part. I think you should be too. Feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you think we're really going to head into a negative or a positive financial reality with this new patriotic agenda? Feel free to check me out at ConservativeRap.com for more, and also on TikTok and X for the rhymes and the poetry. Thanks so much for taking a listen, and look forward to more shortly.